Hello and welcome back to the Wrestling Group. I am your host, as always, Ryan, and today we are going to shock the system. We are going to be taking a look back at the Undisputed Era in NXT, one of the most popular factions in WWE history, not just NXT, and four guys that really left a mark and were a big part of making the NXT black and gold version, the black and gold era of NXT, for me personally, and I know a lot of people the same, the most must-watch wrestling at that time. Obviously, it was before AEW was a thing. It was before, NXT 2.0, where they jazzed it all up and stuff. So, this was the most much-watched wrestling every single week. And these four guys were a big, massive part of that. Obviously, we have the leader, Adam Cole, baby, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and eventually, it was a couple of months in, Roderick Strong as well. So what we're going to do is, if you don't know what the looking back episodes are, it's where we just literally look back through the timeline of a certain faction, team, wrestler, and then we look at a specific time period and we go through all the main talking points and that, and we just revisit. It's a nice way to just look back at some things that have happened in the past, where you can just sit in and remember all the top moments from, say, our factions, teams, or a certain wrestler. I've done, we've done looking back at the League of Nations, I think was the very first one we did, and we've done looking back at AJ Styles in New Japan Pro Wrestling. We've done other looking backs as well, so feel free, it is on a playlist, so you can go on my videos, click the playlist, and it is a whole looking back section. So that is what we're doing today. Obviously, NXT was where they were. They never come up as a faction to the main roster. In fact, none of these guys were official members of the main roster before they then left. So we will just be looking obviously at NXT. And with them being active from 2017 to 2021, there will be a lot of things that will be missed out, but all the main stuff will be looked at. So that is what we are doing. We are looking back at the Undisputed Era. So I'm just actually going to move these away because I feel like I'm going to knock them over and the screen is a little cluttered. I just really wanted to show off the fact that I've got all four members in figure form. I would have liked to get the Undisputed Era 4-pack box that they did, but it's quite expensive. So, on August 19th, 2017, at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly debuted as a team, having both previously had singles matches in NXT, both actually losing to Aleister Black, who obviously is now in AEW as Malachi Black. They both lost to him, so they debuted as a team at the TakeOver Brooklyn 3 and attacked newly crowned NXT Tag Team Champions Sanity and their opponents, the Authors of Pain. Later then in the night, with Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish arrived again, or showed up again, and the three of them attacked newly crowned Drew McIntyre. He was the NXT champion. He won the NXT championship and then was jumped by Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. So that was the impact they made, both going after newly crowned champions, which was interesting. Normally when you get champions winning belts, they have a bit of a celebration, especially with Sanity. It was their first belts that they won in NXT, and Drew McIntyre as well was his first title. He'd won in NXT, but they didn't get the time to celebrate as they were attacked by this three-man gang. 3 weeks later, the trio were then dubbed the Undisputed Era. Now, originally, there was actually a talk of a fourth member very early on as a female. So they were looking at Taynara Conti, Ty Conti, or Ty Mello, as you may know her, Sammy Guevara's wife. She was meant to be part of the faction originally, and she even interfered in a triple threat match between Nikki Cross, Peyton Royce and Liv Morgan, preventing Sanity's Nikki Cross from winning the match, obviously to continue the storyline of the Undisputed Era versus Sanity. So they decided against adding a female to the group, whether it being that they weren't happy with Ty Mello actually being that person for the group, or whether they just completely wanted to go against it. But originally they were going to have a female in the faction, and it was going to be Ty Mello, and it was going to be similar to obviously what Sanity was, which was three males, which was obviously Killian Dane, Alexander Wolf, Eric Young, and then obviously the female Nikki Cross. So they were going to do exactly the same with the Undisputed Era, but they decided against that, and she didn't officially ever become a member of the faction. At NXT War Games, the Undisputed Era defeated Sanity and the Authors of Pain and Roderick Strong in a War Games match. A match type that became synonymous with the Undisputed Era. I think they appeared in, I should have wrote this down, I think it was 4 in total. Might be wrong, might have been 5, but I'm pretty sure at least 4 that they were involved in. On December the 20th episode of NXT, Fish and O'Reilly defeated Sanity to capture the NXT Championship, the Tag Team Championships. 2 weeks later, UE were then to face Sanity in a rematch, but they attacked Sanity earlier in the night, with then GM William Regal instead making them defend against Aleister Black and Roderick Strong, with Adam Cole causing a distraction in the match. The United Empire. The Undisputed Era, United. It's because I've put UE, and now obviously Will Ospreay's faction was the United Empire. So anytime I've done videos and I just put UE, I just go United Empire, but it's not. It's the Undisputed Era. They retained in their first title defence, obviously thanks to Adam Cole. So straight out the bat, you've got Aleister Black's an opponent because like I say, they both lost in singles matches, Fish and O'Reilly to him when they first come into NXT. Then they obviously face him in a tag team match and retain the titles. You've got Roderick Strong's also, his name's appearing quite a bit. He's part of the War Games match. He's then obviously part of a tag team title match. And then obviously Sanity as well. They jumped them at the pay-per-view and then take the titles off and then attack him again backstage so they don't get their rematch. So we've already got a number of storylines that are already starting so early on with Undisputed Era, quite clearly showing up as heels to try and make an impact. On April the 7th, NXT TakeOver New Orleans, Adam Cole became the inaugural NXT North American Champion in a fantastic 6-man ladder match. Later that night, the Undisputed Era successfully defended the tag titles against the Authors of Pain and Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne. Again, Strong's name being involved in the storylines. But yeah, so if you haven't seen that ladder match, it's one of my favourite NXT matches ever. I love that match. I go back and rewatch it every couple of months. It's a really, really good ladder match, and some fantastic talent involved. You've got Ricochet was in it, Adam Cole, Lars Sullivan, but we won't talk about him. It was a really, really good first match for the North American Championship, and I feel like maybe they should have had another EC3 as well. He was debuting for that, wasn't he? I feel like that they should have had that as a maybe early thing, where they do it maybe at the NXT TakeOver New Orleans, like sort of like what the Money in the Bank is, but obviously do it sort of year on year for the North American Championship. I think they could have well done that because it was a fantastic match, and a lot of fans do the same as me and go back and watch it. So yeah, like I say, the Undisputed Era successfully defended the tag titles against the Authors of Pain, Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne. This was Cole's second match of the night as Bobby Fish was injured and was out. So then they introduced the Freebird rule, where it means they didn't have to drop the titles or replace Bobby Fish with another partner. They done the Freebird rule so they could obviously all defend the tag titles at any one stage. They also did it with the Wyatt family. New Day, they done it on the main roster for years, where it didn't matter which version of the team, as long as two members of the team could defend the belts. That's how New Day managed to keep the belts for so long, is because they could switch it up. Big E and Xavier and Woods. Xavier and Woods, Xavier and Kofi, or Big E and Kofi. At the end of the match, Strong turned on Pete Dunne and joined the Undisputed Era. So that was when we then got the full strength of the Undisputed Era, where Roderick Strong, obviously having been close with the other three members in Ring of Honor, then turned heel and joined the Undisputed Era. The Undisputed Era then entered a feud with British Strong Style, which is Pete Dunne, obviously having just been turned on by Roderick Strong, Trent Seven and Tyler Bate. They lost a six-man tag match at the United Kingdom Championship tournament event before dropping the NXT tag team titles to Trent Seven and Tyler Bate on day 2 of the event. Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong then defeated Trent and Bate in a rematch and became NXT tag team champions once again. Now, I remember this being a thing because NXT is taped, and it was taped a couple of weeks in advance. And I remember, with it, especially with it being in the UK, that's where it was filmed, that when Trent and Bate won the tag belts, it was obviously a big thing. They beat the Undisputed Era, they're from the UK, so a lot of people were posting about it. And then literally it was filmed 2 days later, so they done the event obviously in front of a live crowd, and they dropped the belts 2 days later, so their tag team reign was basically 2 days. And I remember it coming up online. It was all over Twitter, Facebook and everything, especially because we're from the UK, we're seeing it, wow, they only had the belts for 2 days. But then the actual match wasn't shown on the WWE network for another couple of months. I think it was June by the time they showed the match where they dropped the belt, so the reign actually appeared to be a hell of a lot longer than it was, but in reality it was just 2 days before they dropped the belts back to O'Reilly and Strong. At NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong defeated Tyler Bate and Trent Seven, once again putting an end to the rivalry, but were attacked after the match by the debuting War Raiders, who were obviously previously War Machine, in Ring of Honor, New Japan, WCPW, all these other companies. They were War Machine. I absolutely loved War Machine on the indies. Don't like them in WWE, but they were good in NXT. Let's be honest, they were good in NXT, and at the time, NXT was the place to go, especially if you're coming from the indies. If you're coming from Ring of Honor, if you're coming from New Japan, NXT was the place to go to. So I remember being absolutely stoked that War Machine were coming in. Obviously, they had to change the name to War Raiders, but they attacked the Undisputed Era. Later that night, Adam Cole then lost the North American Championship to Ricochet. On October the 10th, Ricochet defeated both Adam Cole and Pete Dunne in a triple threat match to retain the North American Championship. A week later, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong retained the NXT Tag Team Championships versus War Raiders via DQ after Bobby Fish returned and attacked their opponents. That's where the return was. So Fish was out for quite a while with an injury, and then shows up and helps them to keep the belts by causing disqualification. And so we had Adam Cole obviously chasing the North American Championship after losing it to Ricochet, who was on absolute fire at this time. And he beats Adam Cole for the belt, and then they get a rematch in the triple threat match, and he doesn't manage to get the belt back. At NXT War Games, we had Ricochet, Pete Dunne and the War Raiders defeat the Undisputed Era in a War Games match. There you go, that's another War Games match for the Undisputed Era. The first one they won, the second one they lost. The Undisputed Era then lost the NXT Tag Team Championships to the War Raiders at NXT TakeOver Phoenix. So not only did they lose the North American Championship, then lost at War Games, and then they dropped the tag belts as well. So War Raiders coming in really threw a spanner in the works for the Undisputed Era. After a couple of unsuccessful NXT takeovers from the Undisputed Era, at the next one, Adam Cole defeated Johnny Gargano for the NXT Championship. So he won the big one in NXT, as it were. On August 15th, O'Reilly and Fish defeated the Street Profits to become NXT Tag Team Champions. And then on September the 18th, Roderick Strong then defeated the Velveteen Dream to become North American Champion. And then all 4 members of the Undisputed Era held NXT Gold at the same time. I remember that. It was so cool. Like, I think the last team I remember, and I could be wrong, feel free to let me know in the comments, I could be wrong, but the last team to all hold major championships at the same time as part of a faction was Evolution, which is obviously Triple H, Randy Orton, Batista and Ric Flair, and that is one thing that always stands out. It's the picture of Evolution, I think it was at the Armageddon pay-per-view, where they've all got the titles. Now, seeing these 4 guys with the title, I mean, it's not just a case of like 1 or 2 photographs, like these were photographed all the time with the 4 belts, and it just showed how important they were to NXT. And they come in and made an impact, and you know they lost a few matches, they dropped the belts back and forth, the NXT tag belts for a bit. You know, like say Adam Cole was the first ever North American championship winner, so his name's always going to be tied to that belt. And then he then went in a rematch, lost the rematch, and then went for the big one and beat Johnny Gargano to become NXT champion. And the picture of these 4 guys with the belts is just fantastic. And when you think of, you know, Undisputed Era, you just think of all the guys with the belts. And to be honest with you, I've got Cole with the NXT championship, and I've got obviously Fish and O'Reilly with the NXT tag team championships. The Roderick Strong I got was just a basic, so I need to get the North American Championship. I can just order it separate, and I need to get him like a t-shirt as well. He hasn't got a t-shirt. He looks a bit lost. Poor Roddy, I forgot all about you, mate. So all 4 members held championship gold at the same time. In the build up to Survivor Series on the main roster, the Undisputed Era were involved in an invasion angle led by Triple H and Shawn Michaels on the main roster. Now this was fantastic. Like I say, I was a mad NXT fan. I'd watch NXT, me and the wife would watch NXT every single week. They had all the hottest guys on there, they had the best matches. You know, it wasn't all like what it wasn't promo or promo advert promo. You know, we had some promos, but it was mainly in-ring action. It's similar to like what AEW is now. So then they knock on the door of the main roster and they're like, hey, don't forget about us for Survivor Series, because it's when they're doing Raw versus SmackDown to see which is the better brand, and they normally do champion versus champion. And NXT were like, what about us? Put us in the mix. Let us go. So then you're having champion versus champion matches. You're having Team Raw, Team SmackDown, Team NXT matches. And to be honest, it's one of my favourite Survivor Series ever because of that. And I think they could have done it where they could have done it every year. The quality in the NXT roster has dropped year on year for me. It's no longer, to be honest with you, it's no longer watchable for me. There's not enough guys in there that I want to tune in to watch. So I feel like if they did that, maybe it gives some people that don't watch NXT a bit more of an eyes on, like, who are these guys and that. But also, on the flip side, if you're adding people into the mix, I'm like, but why are they there? I don't care about them, and it's not enough then for me to go and watch it. Like, if you put Adam Cole in the match, I'm going to go and watch it. If you put Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish in a tag match, I'm going to go and watch it. You put Roderick Strong in a match, I'm going to go and watch it. If you put Braun Breaker in that match, I'm not really that bothered, to be honest. Like, I don't rate him, and I don't see what the big buzz is. Like, yeah, Dragunov, I'll watch him every time. I love Dijak as well. I think he's great, and I think he's underrated. But I feel like because this was a one-off, like a one and done, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, all going against each other, I think that's why it is one of my favourite Survivor Series, because it is so different to the others. So at the pay-per-view, we had O'Reilly and Fish on a losing team, in Tag Team Champions Triple Threat match. You had the Viking Raiders, who had gone up from NXT to Raw and were the Raw Tag Team Champions. You had New Day, who were the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and obviously you had the Undisputed Era, who were the NXT Tag Team Champions. So you had the three-way Triple Threat Tag Team match between all three champions, and I think it was the War Raiders who picked up the victory. So the War Raiders, even though they'd gone to the main roster, still had the Undisputed Era's number, so it was probably good for the Undisputed Era in the end as a tag team. That War Raiders then did go to the main roster, even though they had this loss still against them at Survivor Series. They didn't then have to face them week in, week out. They could just concentrate on dominating the NXT division, because obviously War Raiders had their number. So then we had Roderick Strong winning the championship triple threat match, which was he was the North American champion for NXT. The Raw United States champion was AJ Styles, and we had the Intercontinental, which was obviously the SmackDown title, which was Shinsuke Nakamura. So we had Roderick Strong go over in that match, and we had Adam Cole versus Pete Dunne for the NXT championship, which Adam Cole won and retained the title. So the only one that actually had their title on the line was Adam Cole. But if you haven't seen that Survivor Series, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. Just watch the full pay-per-view. In fact, watch it'll give you the build-up anyway in the video packages and that, but I'd watch a couple of weeks prior and watch the build-up. I thought it was fantastic. In the months that followed, Strong dropped the North American title to Keith Lee. Fish and O'Reilly then dropped the tag belts to the Dusty Rhodes Classic winners, Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne. I think they were called like Broserweights, weren't they? I should have wrote that down. I'm sure it was like Broserweights, because obviously we had the Bruiserweight. Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle just says bro to everyone, leaving only Adam Cole with the title, as he successfully defended the championship against Tommaso Ciampa and Velveteen Dream at back-to-back takeovers, before he then drops the belt to Keith Lee as well. In a title versus title winner takes all match, we had Keith Lee as the North American champion versus Adam Cole as the NXT champion. They put both belts on the line, and Keith Lee ended up taking the win. Remember when he was going to be a massive thing, Keith Lee? He's a phenomenal talent. He's a great dude as well. Everything about him just says he's such a nice guy. I mean, I've never met him, but he just seems to be one of them really, really nice guys that you can just tell. And they put the belts on him. They put both belts on him, the NXT and the North American Championship. And then, like, I think it was like a week or two later, he vacates the North American Championship, because he's like, oh yeah, I don't need this belt, I've got the big one now. Then at the next takeover, he then drops the NXT title, because they want to quickly push him up to the main roster. And then they push him up to the main roster, and then they go, oh yeah, we don't actually have anything for him to do on the main roster. So then he just sort of dwindled out. Then he comes into AEW, didn't do too much, became AEW Tag Team Champion with Swerve Strickland, a really good tag team. Then the fallout from that wasn't great and never really conclusive, and then he's just sort of dwindled around, having a tag team partner in Dustin Rhodes for some strange reason. And then every time he sort of gets starting to look like he's going back up the ladder, he either disappears again or he gets an injury. So I don't understand. That's always been my thing, is like, you've had NXT booked him really well and really strong, and then on the main roster they didn't know what to do with him, and then even AEW in reality, for the most part, they haven't known what to do with him. And I don't understand, of a guy of that size, power and agility as well, he's dead fast, dead quick, so talented, how you can't book him. I don't understand how you can't book Keith Lee. Something's not right here somewhere. Well, yeah, he beat Adam Cole for the NXT title at the Great American Bash, which ended Adam Cole's reign at a historic 403 days as NXT champion. The Undisputed Era then entered into separate feuds for a while, and on September the 23rd, O'Reilly won a gauntlet match, earning him a shot at the NXT title against Finn Balor at NXT TakeOver 31, which Finn Balor won. So this is starting to push Kyle O'Reilly up into the main title picture now, when it's only previously been Adam Cole. It started to give Kyle O'Reilly a look at the main event scene, and he was quite fun to go there. So again, like, I will compare to Evolution, and the main reason I do that is because Evolution for me is probably my favourite faction of all time. I think, and the reason why, and a lot of people don't agree, but the reason why is, like, it formed really well. The did exactly what they wanted to do, which was elevate Randy Orton and Batista. They all held gold at the same time, which is brilliant. Something the fans want to see. It elevated, obviously, Randy Orton first winning the world title, elevated Batista, and second winning the world title. Both of the way they exited Evolution was done perfectly. There's other factions where it's just like been terrible the way they've ended factions, like the NWO and stuff like that was just awful. With so many subgroups, and there was about 150 members and no one really knew what was going on. That's why Evolution's always been one of my favourites. It's not just about the actual faction, it's also about the formation of the faction and the after as well. So the way they all split from the group as well, Randy Orton winning the world title and then the thumbs down, he gets dropped. Batista win the Royal Rumble doing the thumbs down, back to Triple H, and then obviously attacking them, and then eventually even Ric Flair and Triple H split off. So I feel like Evolution was fantastic at that, and this gives me Evolution vibes when Kyle O'Reilly's looking at the title. Like, he gets this shot that no one was expecting him to really get, which is similar to Randy Orton. He gets the shot to face Chris Benoit for the world title back in 2004. No one was really expecting to get the shot. Gets the shot and wins the belt. So although Kyle O'Reilly doesn't win the belt in this instance, so it's not a straight, oh, he's won the belt, let's get him, like what it was in Revolution. It was a lot slower build, but it was a similar sort of thing. You had a guy that people weren't looking at to be a world champion at that time is now like all of a sudden in the title picture. He's all of a sudden got his eye on this belt, and he's like, maybe the tag division isn't enough for me anymore. Maybe I need to become the guy. But he's not looking and thinking about Adam Cole and in the background thinking, what's he thinking? He's just solely focusing, going, maybe it's my turn to go up the ladder. So I feel like it gives me Evolution vibes, but at the same time, it is so different as well, as they didn't pull the trigger straight away. In fact, they didn't even pull the trigger with Kyle O'Reilly with the NXT Championship. But that's the whole reason why this then started to implode. But it was really, really well done. Very watchable. And NXT War Games fully into their first run as babyfaces this time. The Undisputed Era defeated Team McAfee, which included Pete Dunne, Lorcan and Birch. On December the 16th, Kyle O'Reilly defeated Pete Dunne to earn himself another shot at Finn Balor's NXT Championship at NXT New Year's Eve, with Kyle O'Reilly coming up short once again. Phenomenal matches, by the way. If you haven't seen them, go back. I recommend you go back and watch them. Kyle O'Reilly's a phenomenal talent. Finn Balor's probably one of the, if not the best to ever come from NXT. Absolute superb 2 matches that they had against each other, and again it's carrying on that story of Kyle O'Reilly still wants to get his way up the ladder. He wants to be the guy himself. He's now standing in this ongoing storyline. Like, obviously Finn Balor at this point had been an NXT champion, he'd gone to the main roster, he'd won the Undisputed Championship, got injured, he'd been around the mid-card for a while and dropped back down to build himself back up again. He had a phenomenal second run as NXT champion, really good heel character, which explains why obviously every member of Undisputed Era then started to turn face. And we had a great couple of matches between O'Reilly and Finn Balor for the title. At NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day, Finn Balor defeated Pete Dunne to retain the NXT Championship, but he was quickly attacked by Pete Dunne, Larkin and Birch. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole then made the save. They come down to save him. Obviously Kyle O'Reilly having the 2 great matches and had really good respect for Finn Balor. And obviously Adam Cole coming out to help Kyle O'Reilly. Even the numbers game. Only for Adam Cole then to turn heel, super kicking the NXT champion Finn Balor and also super kicking Kyle O'Reilly. Now I remember that. I remember posting it to the wrestling group. If you're part of the Facebook page, you might remember it as well. It was like the super kick heard around the world, and it really was, because they'd been teasing it for a while. But again, without Kyle O'Reilly actually winning the belt, it was sort of like, will they actually pull the trigger on this split or not? And you sort of expected it, and they teased it on occasion. But then when they actually then went and did it, as much as a lot of people did want to see Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly go at it, especially people that hadn't seen Ring of Honor, because obviously they'd faced in Ring of Honor, they'd done a similar sort of thing there. you know, if people hadn't seen that, people wanted to see, you know, these two got it. But at the same time, it's one of the most beloved factions, and some people were really, really disappointed when they did end it. And I was in a way, but you know, not everything can last forever, and I feel like if you don't end it while it's still hot, and it was still hot, Undisputed Era remained hot until the end. I've just got something in my eyes bugging me. They remained hot until the end, so you could have done it where it could have dragged out for another year or two, and no one cared when you then split it up, which has happened time and time again, especially in the WWE. With factions and teams where they end it where no one cares, or they end it far too early and they don't have that chance to grow. Hang on. So it was really, really unprofessional. I had something in my eye, I just had to clear it. I never normally pause a video because I feel like it doesn't ever come off well when you then watch it, but I'm half an hour into the video and I don't fancy re-recording it just because I had a little something in my eye. So the next week it was then announced that the Undisputed Era had officially disbanded. It was the end of the Undisputed Era with one swift super kick from Adam Cole. The Undisputed Era was no more. So then we had Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, and they went to war. O'Reilly defeated Cole in an unsanctioned match at NXT Stand and Deliver. The rematch was then won by Adam Cole at the Great American Bash. Both former teammates had a victory over the other going into the blowout match, which was a 2 out of 3 falls match at NXT TakeOver 36, which was labelled the Undisputed Finale. And I remember the video package they done leading to this match, and it was phenomenal. It was really so good. You know, they told the story obviously about them being a faction for so long, having each other's backs and everything else. Then they obviously showed where Adam Cole turned on him, and then obviously they then showed the first 2 matches. It was a really good video package, done so well. And to be honest with you, it shows again, like say, you know, Kyle O'Reilly just really wasn't thinking about Adam Cole when he was going for the NXT championship. He wasn't thinking, I need to keep an eye on him because he's going to get like jealous. He's, you know, his ego is going to be tarnished. He was completely oblivious, but at the same time, all the more when we're watching as viewers, we could see it was eating away at Adam Cole, that Kyle's now getting this shot, that he still believes that he should be at the top. It's a really, really good story that come out of it as well, and I'm glad they had the time to do the story, and I'm glad they had the time to do the blowout matches as well, the trilogy that they did, because not long after, you know, they started all leaving the company, you know, contracts with it ending and stuff, so I'm really, really glad that they did get to complete the trilogy, because sometimes when WWE will get stuff right is where they do a trilogy of matches like Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. We've had the trilogy like AJ Styles and John Cena. You know, there's so many trilogies if you go back through over the years, where they know to just stop at 3 and that's it. And this is definitely one of them. Although, like say, obviously a lot of them then start to leave. Well, one by one they start to leave, but you know, having that one wins, then the other one wins, and then they have that blowout, and being a 2 out of 3 falls match as well was great. Top quality matches that if you haven't seen, definitely go and check out. Kyle O'Reilly came out on top in the end and put an end to the Undisputed Era in NXT. One by one, all 4 members then left and joined AEW. So that's where they all are now. Well, 3 of them are. Bobby Fish is no longer with AEW. So the years active for NXT's Undisputed Era was 2017 to 2021, which is a really good run. Championships that they held was the NXT Championship one time through Adam Cole, the NXT North American Championship twice with Adam Cole being the original, and then Roderick Strong. The NXT Tag Team Championships they held 3 times. The first time was all 4 members via the 3 birds rule. Obviously Fish getting an injury made Adam Cole then step up, and then obviously Cole, because he was a dual champion, they then brought Roderick Strong in, so then he could then be involved as well to help defend the belts. Fish and O'Reilly obviously held the belts together at one point, and Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. So Kyle O'Reilly officially held the NXT Tag Team Championship 3 different times. and if you like, with three different partners. In reality, the first one was Freebird's rule, but obviously he did defend the belts with Adam Cole, so he's the only one. And he won the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Colin O'Reilly, there you go. Colin and Kyle O'Reilly won the Dusty Rhodes Classic back in 2018 as well. So that is the Undisputed Era in NXT. I mean, there's other things that we haven't had a chance to talk about. Cause, I mean, honestly, this video could be about 5 hours long. They've done that much in that time that they were together. You know, we had Adam Cole as NXT champion going up on SmackDown and defending the belt against Daniel Bryan when they had all the problems with half the roster getting back from Saudi Arabia. You know, obviously that was a phenomenal match. And then we also had the Undisputed Era versus Imperium at one point as well, the NXT UK faction at the time. Only lasted about a month or two, but obviously they had that big massive blowout match as well at Worlds Collide, I believe it was, where Imperium went over. So, you know, there is so much there that I haven't spoke about that we could speak about. We could go into detail on matches, but the main gist of this is to just look back at the overall and get a good feeling of just what they were. So, as always, I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comment section. Were you a fan of NXT's Undisputed Era? I'm pretty sure you were, otherwise you wouldn't still be on this video. Do you think they are, this is a question I'll ask you, and let me know in the comments, do you think they are a top 10 faction in WWE's history? Now, I don't mean wrestling in general, just in WWE, so obviously NXT counts as being in WWE, so are they a top 10 faction? I believe they're a top 5 faction, but I feel like if I whittle it down to that, you know, people are going to start, so I thought, tell you what, top 10 are Undisputed Era a top 10 faction? Let me know in the comments what you think. Also, if there's any matches, any storylines, anything from the whole Undisputed Era timeline, let me know what your favourites are. I will get back to each and every one of you. I really enjoy having a bit of back and forth with obviously my subscribers and my fans, so let me know what you are a fan of, what you enjoyed. Even if you don't, if you didn't enjoy Undisputed Era, let me know if there's anything that they did. If you didn't enjoy them splitting up, if you didn't for some reason enjoy the Adam Cole vs Kyle O'Reilly feud at the end, let me know in the comments. It's just good to hear some feedback from you, and it also lets me know that you watched the full video. So as always, like I say, give me a like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. I'm getting quite a few viewers that aren't yet subscribed, so please do subscribe. It does help the channel and keeps me putting out new content. So that is the Undisputed Era in its entirety. Like I say, let me know, give me some feedback. Also, I'm open to suggestions, not always going to take them, not always going to have the time to do every suggestion, but I'm definitely open to suggestions to look at for other looking back videos in the future. So leave me a like, comment, subscribe, and as always, don't forget, stay tuned for more wrestling related content coming your way as we shock the system. Thanks.